Welcome to 1991 Movie Rewind, a podcast where we watch and review every movie released in 1991, from the all-time greatest classics to the critically panned and everything in between. We will rediscover forgotten fan favorites and uncover hidden gems as we explore the depths of direct-to-video. Join us in our celebration of the fun, unique, and diverse films of this highly underrated year. This week is our 2021 Year in Review. This episode marks our 1-year anniversary of the podcast. We've been at this long enough to talk about 50 films so far, and we thought it might be fun to give out some awards to celebrate the best of 1991 as we saw it in 2021. There are a lot of strong categories lined up that we have picked for you all, and we have a lot more movies to cover in the future. So just to give you an idea, in terms of box office performance, we've only watched 2 out of the top 10 performing movies from 1991, only 8 of the top 25. And on the other end, we've only talked about 8 movies that didn't even have a theatrical release. And so there's a lot left to watch. But even so, in this list, in this awards season, in this awards show, there are some very strong contenders. There's some very good performances, and I think we have a solid lineup of movies off of this. So for today's awards show, we're going to be bringing you a mix of the traditional categories you would see at like the Oscars, Golden Globes, some of our MTV Movie Awards favorites, and also a couple of Razzies that we're mixing in here. All we're really missing is like a Billy Crystal monologue, and we're not going to have a 3-hour running time. So
no, we're not going to have any skits in between hand.
No skits, no songs and dances.
Yeah, running through sets of movies and saying, hey, what's T2 doing here or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I could just see Billy Crystal calling him T2. Hi, T2. What are you doing here?
I don't know.
Let's get in the car with Thelma and Louise.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So just to name a couple of movies we haven't yet talked about.
Yeah, we haven't even seen those 2 yet for this podcast.
No. So yeah, none of those filmmakers, cast, crew are going to be part of this discussion. It's only focused on the 50 movies that we've talked about so far that will be giving out these awards that don't have a name. So with all that said, let's get into the awards.
So we're going to start off with Best Supporting Actress. And we're not going to do it like nominees. I'm going to give my thoughts, and then you're going to give your thoughts. Like my favorite and your favorite. That's how we're going to be doing this.
Yeah, I think as part of my thoughts, I'll probably say other people I was considering, but we're going to start off with our pick.
Yeah, we'll just give our picks. We're not awarding anyone anything.
This is not going to go up on IMDb as like an award that was honored to a movie, but yeah.
Okay, so Best Supporting Actress, my pick was Mercedes Ruehl in The Fisher King.
Yeah, that's a solid choice. Honestly, I think Best Supporting Actress was one of the toughest ones I had because it is stacked in this.
Okay, when we were filling this out, I did Best Actress as Mercedes Ruehl, but then when I looked it up, she was nominated for Best Supporting, and I was like, oh, darn.
It would have made it a lot easier because honestly, it was tougher to find nominees for the Best Actress category. We didn't have a whole lot of strong lead female performances, in my opinion. I don't know when we get there.
I'll let you know.
But yeah, we have like Mercedes Ruehl. We also have Amanda Plummer from Fisher King, which I think deserves some consideration. And Fried Green Tomatoes had the Marys. But my pick was Juliette Lewis for Cape Fear.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, I mean, very early on in the podcast we saw too. But yeah, Juliette Lewis was just, she held her own against Robert De Niro's.
Especially I mean, I know she's done stuff beforehand, but this is like the start of her career, I think.
Yeah,
This
probably her
Cape
major,
Fear.
yeah,
Yeah.
the major breakout.
And becoming like even a great actress even to now, like watching Yellow Jackets.
Right.
I was like, she's always amazing in like everything I see her in.
Yeah, and Mercedes Ruehl, I think, just hasn't been in as much stuff high profile, so it's tough for us to know if she's continued on.
She was my favorite out of like the 50 movies we've seen so far, like acting wise.
It's hard to have a bad choice
for a
in
woman.
this category.
Yeah,
I completely understand. And we should probably say we didn't consult each other about these at all.
Yeah, these are no.
we made our lists independently of each other, did not talk about it or anything, and so we're revealing them to you and to ourselves the first time. So that's actress. Best supporting actor. I had a few choices here too. I went with Michael Jeter from Fisher King.
Okay.
So he played the
singing telegram
guy. This was also a really hard choice because you have people like Giancarlo Esposito from Night on Earth, you have Bill Nunn from Regarding Henry, and you have John Goodman and Barton Fink, all really could be it, but Michael Jeter is just the one that I keep sort of thinking about in the back of my head. So.
Okay. For me, it was Bill Nunn in Regarding Henry.
Yeah, not New Jack City, we should probably clarify.
Yeah.
Regarding Henry. But, yeah.
Yeah, as the Dada man, he was barely in it. But
he was barely in it, yeah.
But he was just kind of like the muscle and didn't really have much to say. But Bill Nunn in Regarding Henry, like just that in that movie, he was always my favorite, and that's why I always watched it, even though like that movie is not meant for like 11-year-old kids. I don't know.
Right.
I just liked him.
He carried the movie when he was in it.
Yeah.
And you kind of missed him when he wasn't there.
Yeah, my favorite parts in that movie are with Harrison Ford and him interacting, like their friendship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So there's our supportings. We're going to get into some of the MTV Movie Award type categories next. So we'll talk about Best Villain.
For me, Best Villain was Robert De Niro and Cape Fear.
Okay.
As Max Cady.
Okay. I went with Wesley Snipes as
okay.
Nino Brown, just because he was just pure villainy. I mean, Robert De Niro made my short list as well. Like, we have...
His character... He's a scary dude. I don't know. If you come across that type of person in real life, I mean, I'd be scared.
Yeah. I could be convinced to
and plus, he was in jail for raping and murdering women, so...
That's true.
And then
he has the stalker behavior.
He's got that... he's like a charmer to women, and then he uses them.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Okay.
I didn't choose it this time.
And Robert De Niro did like a very good job being like a very scary guy, and then also kind of like a charming guy to like Juliette Lewis's character.
That's true. He has the
and Ileana Douglas, like the way he was just very charming. I mean, that's just like that serial killer type of mentality. It's just that's creepier to me.
Yeah, that's
than
very true.
Like a gangster. I mean, I get.
I'm with you. I mean, I understand where you're coming from for sure. A couple other people I want to mention just as a short list. So we have like Tom Villard from Popcorn, and Patrick Bergin has also like the stalker mentality in Sleeping with the Enemy, and Bolo Young from Double Impact was on there. Best death scene.
Okay,
there were a lot to choose from here too.
Yeah. My favorite death scene was in one of the worst movies we've seen. But it was a really cool beginning to the movie. Was Kiss Before Dying, where Sean Young falls to her death.
That was my pick too.
Oh, okay.
It's honestly like one of the most memorable of them.
Yeah, that's the most memorable. Like her falling, and her like reacting to that glass, and then like her brain splattering is That was the best part of the entire movie, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it set the scene for what should have been a better movie.
Right.
And we talked about at the time that it was probably just stealing from Suspiria to a degree.
Yeah.
But it was still impactful, and it's one of the most memorable sequences.
That's also, like, if we do, like, another category, like, best opening scene.
Yeah.
Would be another interesting category.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Kiss Before Dying in general had a lot of decent deaths.
Yeah, the deaths in there were
super
good,
disturbing and realistic.
I mean, I don't want to say good as in they died well.
Yeah, no,
they're
realistic almost.
Yeah, they are very like even the guy that hung himself, and then the whole thing where he went into the hotel room and like strangled that woman and chopped her whole body up, and then put her in a suitcase, and he was able to go get out of that clean without anyone catching him.
Right. Yeah.
I guess those were the best parts of that entire movie.
Yeah, the grisly deaths that were realistic is the best part about that movie. The only one that didn't really fit is when he got hit by the train at the end.
Yeah, the ending is the worst. Like the entire last half hour of that movie of like finding out about the train and him as a little boy staring out at the train and then being mad at that train company.
It was dumb.
But yeah.
I think it's telling that we've watched a couple horror movies and they did not get the best death scene nods. Like, you know, Popcorn had several. I was thinking of, like, the electric chair one was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Freddy's Dead.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, Freddy's. I mean,
they were too jokey for me.
Yeah, Freddy's Dead. None of those. Well, except the one with the ear.
Yeah, but even then it had like.
Was kind of too jokey.
Yeah, because it had the pin drop joke to spoof the commercials at the time from Sprint and whatnot. So.
If it was Nightmare on Elm Street 1 through 5, I would have picked.
Yeah, probably
a death from one of those movies.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, you got...
I mean, even, like, Terror Within, like, those deaths...
Terror Within, I was almost thinking about choosing that because of how jokey it was. Like, the guy who got, like, smashed with the rock early on and stuff like that. But, yeah, oh, man, those were funny death scenes. And also, like, the Unborn, too, where the guy got stabbed through the eye by the little mutant baby.
Yeah.
Pit in the pendulum, falling in the pit. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that happen in here, but...
Yeah, there's like
Castadelli's spell. That was honestly on my short. Like I almost thought of like the guy getting killed by the mutant chicken. Like that almost was my choice. But Kiss Before Dying was too good, too legitimately good. So let's move on to best comedic performance. So for that one, I went a little bit. I was thinking, like Leslie Nielsen. We got Christina Applegate even. I was thinking like J.O. Sanders from V.I. Warshawski did a really good job with his character. Dominique Pignon from Delicatessen was on my short list too. Richard Dreyfuss almost took the nod from What About Bob. I know that like...
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I like his performance more than I liked Bill Murray's just because of the progression of the character of Richard Dreyfuss and how he was able to carry that through. But I gave it to Man Tat Ng from Fight Before School, Uncle Tat.
Oh, Fight Back to School?
Yeah, what did I say? Fight After School?
Fight Before School.
So I gave it to Man Tat Ng, Uncle Tat from Fight Before.
Oh, okay.
Fight Back to School.
Okay.
I don't know. I liked how he was able to switch characters all the time. Because he had, he pretended to have the disability to keep himself from working, and then he would just, like, go back to normal when he was having interactions with them, and, like, the slapstick nature of it, and he did, like, that little magic trick with the pipe or whatever, and, I don't know, there's a lot of fun little moments with him, so I went...
Okay, yeah, for me, I did Stephen Chow for Fight Back to School, but I was thinking, like, everyone in that entire movie was funny.
Yeah.
Like, even... the woman, like, just all the kids, like, the way everyone's, like, reactions to things. Like, when they show the female teacher and they're like, like, I don't know.
It was very over the top, but it was still effective. It was
funny to me. I don't know.
Yeah. So we're on the same page. We just chose different people.
Yeah. All right, we have best kids performance.
Yes, best performance by a kid. I did not choose anyone who was like clearly like high school age or higher.
See, I did kids as in like ensemble.
Oh, okay. I picked an individual.
Oh, okay.
So why don't you go first?
Well, I did all the kids from All I Want for Christmas. So that's like Ethan Embry, Thora Birch, Amy Oberer, and then Patrick Lebrecki as Marshall.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. And there's a lot of good kid performances across the board in 1991 movies as well. My choice was since I did an individual, I picked Thora Birch. But yeah, Ethan Embry's on there. I think you have to consider people like Angela Goethals from V.I. Warshawski, Charlie Korsma, What About Bob, Brandon Quinton, who carried People Under the Stairs on his back for a lot of it. But yeah, I didn't choose people like from Rock and Roll High School Forever. I didn't choose any of those people because
they're kind of like adulty, yeah.
And they may, in some cases,
I was also thinking of like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, but it's just like, you know,
the littler kids didn't have much to do.
Yeah, the littler kids were kind of barely in it. It was mostly Christina Applegate.
And like Suburban Commando.
And yes, those kids weren't even...
kids had more lines than the actual kids in the family.
Right.
Where Hulk Hogan was staying. So, All I Want for Christmas had the best child acting, according to us. Best performance by an animal. I'm picking Butch from Terror Within 2.
Me too. I said Booch. I don't know.
There's less
Booch
to choose.
Is the best. Well, yeah.
Less to choose here. There's several dogs though. We got like Elvis from Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. You have Prince from People Under the Stairs, which I thought about choosing too.
Yeah.
But Booch had to act and like play dead and all this.
He
saved
the day in the first Terror Within.
The first one.
And he, unfortunately, he sort of saved the day in the second one. He was protecting his master and his master's, like, girlfriend, I guess, and then he gets killed. Yeah. So poor Booch.
But we'll see Booch again. Butch is actually in another 1991 movie. So, Andrew Stevens cast his own dog in another movie, so we'll see Butch at some point in the future, and we'll see if he's a 2-time winner.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a little more serious, I guess, now. Best International Feature. I was debating whether or not to pick what I picked, just because... I don't know. We've seen quite a few international features, surprisingly enough. Like, we've seen Europa, which I kind of forgot about while, like, making this list,
It's not really...
It's a good movie, and it's worth, like... I don't know, it's worth consideration, but it was never like at the forefront of my mind. Salmon Berries you may not consider international, but I would.
Well, because they go to Germany and they're in Alaska mostly, but
the production.
It was also like in German.
As a US movie.
Yeah, and there is parts like all the German parts we didn't know what they were saying.
Right. Yeah, because they didn't subtitle everything there. We've seen Millions is technically an international movie, even though it's all English, right? Fight Back to School, Solo con tu pareja, Delicatessen, All the Mornings of the World. My pick is Only Yesterday.
I did All the Mornings in the World.
Okay. I was debating whether or not to do that, because I don't, But I'm picking Only Yesterday. Both are very much well worth watching.
I mean, they both movies surprised me, even though I guess I knew that Only Yesterday was a Studio Ghibli movie, so I knew that I would automatically like it. But watching like All the Mornings of the World, I was like, what the hell are we gonna get into? Yeah. Because like in the beginning, I was like, ugh, am I gonna like this? Because it starts off, really weird with Gerard Depardieu's face. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not into this. But then, I mean, that movie, like, blew me away. Just, I don't know. I guess we'll get into it later. Yeah. But just, like, the acting and cinematography. And I've never even heard of that movie, like, at all.
No, I hadn't either.
So
and it's like, yeah, I have an aversion to period pieces, and then you add that it's actually pretty slow moving in general. It's very methodical in its nature, but it works. It works really well. But I still went with Oli yesterday because it was there's so much charm in that, and like the varying animation styles, and just the nostalgia that it brings, even if you're not like directly connected to some of the pieces and stories in there. So yeah. Move on to best score. This was toughest for me.
Yeah, because I pay attention to like music a lot, but I'm mostly commenting on it.
It's like in one ear and out the other for me.
Well,
I'm
most like I pay attention to more bad scores than maybe good ones, because I'd be like, what the hell's up with this music?
Yeah.
And that's what was mostly in my mind, but I was like, what did I... And then there's like music that I really liked, and I don't know, I went with like Millions, because I just really like I wish I could find that soundtrack somewhere.
Yeah, the Millions score doesn't really fit the movie of Millions, but in that, like, the music that they use during the scenes does not match the tone of the scene, but the music is really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, taken away from the visual side, it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm picking Daughters of the Dust, and I wonder if it, from John Barnes, and I'm wondering if that's partly like recency bias, just because it's one of the most recent movies that we've watched, and while I can understand what's, I can comment on the score at the time. If you give me a few weeks, I'm not going to remember anything about the music of most movies.
I guess Millions is also a kind of recency bias too.
Yeah, so I was trying to go through some of our past notes, and we commented on like Cape Fear with Elmer Bernstein and doing Bernard Herrmann, combining forces in a sense, in a weird sense. Ennio Morricone with Bugsy and Lalo Schifrin from FX2 as well. We've talked about those scores in our episodes in the past, so without watching the movie again, to hear that again, it's tougher for me to comment.
Yeah.
So, but Daughters of the Dust, I do remember that it didn't really seem fully connected to the movie, and it felt just very atmospheric and ethereal. So that's my choice. Best song, I thought, was also going to be very difficult to do, but going through some of the movies, there's quite a few different options, both serious and non-serious.
I didn't want to do like a cheesy song though, because
no, ultimately I did not, but I'll list a couple out if you. But yeah, what did you pick?
I picked Katie Lang's song "Barefoot" for Salmon Berries.
So did I.
Okay.
Yeah. That was
haunting
that was like, and beautiful.
Yeah, it was specifically made for that movie. That's why I chose that. I feel like the other movies, or the other songs for the other movies that I could remember, they're just like really cheesy.
There may be more
like Cool as Ice or something like that.
Yeah, Cool as Ice is in there. Suburban Commando has two. You have like Ramsey or It's a Nice Place to Live, but I Wouldn't Want to Visit, where Hulk Hogan does some backing vocals.
It's just like people messing around. Like like Katie Lang's song is an actual thoughtful.
Yeah, that's the most serious one, and honestly, it's one of the ones where you'd be surprised that it wasn't nominated for.
I was also thinking, like, because was there a song for Only Yesterday? Because I guess I liked the music in Only Yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know if I should have picked it. I won't remember
for like score. I remember there was like something at the end, but I don't know if it was.
Yeah, because I just edited it for YouTube. They did a cover of Bette Midler's song.
Yeah, The Rose. Okay, it was like a Japanese. See, maybe I should have. See, I mean, I like that too.
I think Salmon Berries is your best choice. Yeah, we did have another like original like song, Dreams to Dream from American Tail, that was probably courting award nominations, but it just didn't reach
I
the
like
same
Somewhere
level.
Out There way more than
me too.
The Fievel Goes West song.
But I'll say a couple other Dark Horse ones. Feel the Impact by Jen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of kitschy, but it's also, just early 90s poppy fun.
Yeah.
And then Rock and Roll High School Forever's theme song was one that I hated when I first heard it, and then it just continued to grow on me as the movie went on. So
yeah, I mean, that was the same song used for the first movie, though,
no.
right? No?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
First one was just Ramones.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll
Didn't
High
they?
School.
I don't even remember what.
Oh, you'll have to hear it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember
different.
the band and their random
Pursuit
song.
of Happiness was the band.
Yeah, but I don't remember anything else. Well, I don't remember the music.
Love at the Laundromat on my short list.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was like a 2-second snippet.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That doesn't count. All right, so we're already like a little bit more than halfway through our awards show. At this time is when they typically give out, you know, the humanitarian awards and the Lifetime Achievement Awards. We have our own Lifetime Achievement Award, and we're giving it to the person who has appeared in the most 1991 movies that we saw throughout the year. And so this year's Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Kelly Jo Minter for appearing in 4 movies that we watched. Doc Hollywood, she has a very brief role at the beginning. New Jack City, she's in there at the rehab house. Popcorn has a significant role as one of the teenagers. Mm-hmm. And then People Under the Stairs, she's the sister of the main character of Fool. So Kelly Jo Minter, I think we've seen all 4 of your movies. I don't remember if you appear in one more or not.
I mean, we did recently watch a movie with her in it, but it's not a 1991 movie.
No, she was in House Party 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, I mean, she was
Is
busy.
she in the sequel? Is she in the sequel now?
Right.
So.
I mean, she was just really busy in the late 80s, early 90s.
So depending on how many... Who might take this Lifetime Achievement Award in the next year, this may become known as the Kelly Jo Minter Award.
Yeah.
Now we're into the big stuff. Now we're on to Best Cinematography. I'm going to go first here. I'm going to say, I don't think this is recency bias. I think it's just true. Arthur Jaffa from Daughters of the Dust.
Mm.
Again, a lot of really strong contenders on this list. You got like All the Mornings of the World. You have Europa. Darius Kanji's work on Delicatessen. Night on Earth, I think, deserves a lot of recognition as well for how that was handled with 4 different stories. Sam & Barry's as well with the use of color and light. But I went with Arthur Jaffa, Daughters of the Dust.
I went with All the Mornings in the World.
I think that's very solid.
Eve Angelo.
Yeah, that has such striking use of color, and
I mean,
it
there
just
are parts.
makes everything look like a
there are parts in the movie
painting.
where you literally think it's a painting, and then it like pans out, and it's just like a bowl of fruit in like someone's window on a table.
I think a couple of the shots are specifically
and then you
recreating
see it's
actual
recreating
paintings,
a painting,
but the rest of it feels like it is a painting.
Yeah. Like you think it's a painting, but then I don't know, you see something move and you're like, oh my god, that's not a painting at all.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of great choices in this. So we're on to Best Male Performance. We're getting near the end here. A lot of good choices here as well. I went with Robin Williams from Fisher King.
Okay. So did I. So we can.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Jeff Bridges is worth considering. Jean-Pierre Mariel from All the Mornings of the World, I think, is a dark horse pick that.
Yeah, the father. Yeah.
So completely compelling with saying so few words. The work that Dominique Pignon did in Delicatessen with, I think I had him in my comedic performance list as well, just because like he is a former clown and he does all of these actual tricks, within the movie, and just. But Robin Williams is just.
I think this is like the beginning of him maybe like going from like comedy into more drama, like when he starts doing like Good Will Hunting and.
He had done Dead Poets Society.
Oh, okay, right. Like that's
Good Morning Vietnam.
Okay.
He was like the comic relief in that. I think it's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
But
Dead
it's not
Poet
an overtly
Society
comedic
is
movie.
the
Yeah, Dead Poet
beginning of
Society is kind
his
of... But he also plays
dramatic
that
career.
comedic...
Yeah, he always plays, like, the fun-loving friend guy who cracks jokes, but is also serious. But I guess even, like, Good Will Hunting was like that.
Yeah, very few situations where he plays straight serious without using his comedic abilities in some way. And even here, he uses comedic abilities, but that's to
it's kind of like dealing with someone who's dealing with like PTSD after seeing their wife die right in front of them.
Yeah, and struggling to find himself, but also knowing exactly who he is at the same time in a weird way. And yeah, just the way he's able to manipulate his face and voice and actions to just convey exactly what you need him to at any given moment. It's perfect. On the other side of the coin, worst actor. We're going in the Razzie territory. Worst actor of 1991.
I mean, there's a lot.
There's quite a few.
Mine is kind of like recency bias too. I picked Eric Estrada because I was like...
Oh, okay. He's on my short list.
Okay, because I've honestly never watched Chips, and I only know Eric Estrada is doing like popping up in like Love Boat or whatever and being like himself.
Yeah.
And I don't know
made, like, a second career
what his actual acting ability is.
Yeah.
But him playing like a jockey 18-year-old was just funny. And not great. And then even when he was
in Earth Angel.
Yeah, in Earth Angel. And then even him as like a 40-year-old, I guess, was not... I don't know. I just was like... It was not great. I don't know. I was just laughing.
A lot of the acting in that movie was not too great. I have Kathy Pudwell on my short list of the worst actress as well. But I'm going with Vanilla Ice. I know it seems like it's kind of obvious, but he was really bad.
I almost picked him, but I was like, I think that was just... I mean, for that movie, I think that was just him being him, and I don't think he even wanted to act.
I don't know if he knew how to play himself is the thing. Like, the only time where I got any sort of sense of personality from him when the montage scenes where he wasn't talking and they're
when he's like dancing
around in the construction site and stuff like that. That's the only time I got any actual personality from him.
Yeah, when he's talking, he's just like, what?
Yeah. Just very monotone.
Making up random sayings, which I understand. I get it.
So, I mean, obviously horror movies have a lot of bad acting typically, but I found that most of the lead performances in the horror movies we watched were decent. Like, Unborn had a decent lead character. Pit and the Pendulum, I think, was probably one of the worst ones. The Jonathan Fuller is the boyfriend or wife, or I'm sorry, husband of the whatever. And then Andrew Stevens in Terror Within 2, also not so good. So, I also have Chris O'Donnell listed here for Fried Green Tomatoes. He's probably, supporting actor.
Yeah, I mean, he was barely in it. I don't know.
I just remember him being really bad in the scenes that he was in. But Vanilla Ice gets my nod. On the best female performance side, I had a tougher time building a list from this.
Oh, I mean, the person that I picked, I guess I don't even know if that's like lead actress now.
Well, why don't you say who it is? Because I probably have her on my lead list too.
I put Mary Stuart Masterson from Fried Green Tomatoes.
Oh, okay. I mean, personally,
I would... supporting?
I don't know how they determine that stuff.
Because I was going to pick, like, all the 4 ladies in that movie.
Yeah, I know that, I think Jessica Tandy was nominated for supporting.
Oh, and Kathy Bates was lead. And then Kathy
Bates would have been for the lead side. But the 2 Marys were not nominated at all, I don't think. And so I don't know how they would have been considered.
That's why I'm putting them on the list.
Yeah, so I mean, yes. I say you're right.
But I was like, I don't know the definition of like, because like Mercedes Ruehl, I almost put there because I thought she would be
she's the lead actress in that movie.
Yeah.
But she's a supporting role in the story.
That's what, I mean, I understand it, but I'm also, like, confused.
Well, I think also a lot of
Because
studios...
then, like, Mary Stuart Masterson, I understand, because, you know, that's, I guess the lead would be Kathy Bates, because it's about her story, I guess.
I think studios also decide...
And Jessica Tandy telling the story to her.
Right.
Via two other women.
But if the goal is to get as many nominations as possible, someone like Mercedes Ruehl is going to have a much better chance in the supporting actress category than she would in the lead actress category against people like...
like Jodie Foster?
Jodie Foster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's part of the consideration when they, you know, put them up for nomination in certain categories, is they're looking at who they might be up against.
We haven't seen those movies yet for the podcast. I mean, we've seen the movies, just not for this yet. Yeah. So and then
I think that's
also like I think I even think like was it Selma and Louise? Aren't they?
I don't know how.
Isn't Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis both?
They're probably both lead.
Yeah.
I haven't looked because we haven't gotten there. Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I mean. When I got to Fried Green Tomatoes, I was like, well, then who was lead? And then I just put Mary Stuart Masterson because I just liked her as, you know, the bee charmer.
Well, look, it's our award show. We can make those rules as we see fit. So that
and
works
she wasn't
for me.
even nominated. I mean, I was gonna put like both the Marys in Fried Green Tomatoes.
I think the one that I had listed that I wasn't sure counted was Anne Brochette from All the Mornings of the World. I put her in lead performance, but she's not my pick. I actually picked Julia Roberts.
Oh, okay.
From Sleeping with the Enemy, because in such a movie that could have gone wrong, she made it go right. So, yeah, I think... Again, I had sort of a tough time. I was thinking of, like, Daisy Ridley from Only Yesterday, but that doesn't really count because it's the dub from, like, 2016. And then, like, Annette Bening from Bugsy, maybe.
Well, I thought you didn't like... I didn't mind her.
I didn't think she had enough... I don't know. I think she was just sort of there as, like, a place setting. And so that's, you know... But, again, I didn't have much to think... Like, Helen Hunt is on my short list from The Pamela Smart.
New Hampshire, yeah.
Murder in New Hampshire. And Christina Applegate from Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, because she did a really good job with her, you know, carrying that movie as well with the comedic performance and, you know, some of the drama and stuff. But, I mean, there aren't a whole lot of, like, strong female characters that have a lot of depth in the movies that we watched, unfortunately. So I picked Julia Roberts partly because of that. Okay. Worst actress is a lot easier to choose.
That was easy for me.
That's like a no-brainer, I think. Sean Young, Kiss Before Dying.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think she won the Razzie.
Yeah, I forget
if she won.
That made me think.
I know she was nominated twice. Once for like the woman who the twin that gets murdered.
And then the other twin, the one that lives and one that dies.
Yeah, she got nominated twice.
I mean, because when watching this movie, I was like, I thought Sean Young was a good actress, like the entire time.
And she is a good actress. Otherwise, just not in this movie. I was thinking like Winona Ryder in Night Before.
I don't know.
On Earth was not great. Lorraine Bracco from Talent for the Game.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that scene where she's like, I don't know, and Penelope Ann Miller just being bored to death during Other People's Money.
Oh yeah.
Alana Shaw from Double Impact I also put on there.
I mean, I was thinking of all these like Terror Within to just the women in there.
Yeah, I mean...
But it's like they didn't really showcase the women that much, except for like...
a whole lot of, like, lead
except
women.
For the woman who got pregnant.
Yeah, but even then, I don't know, it just didn't seem like she had a meaty role. And when she was acting, she wasn't terrible.
Right.
So, and, who was it in The Unborn? Karen Allen?
I thought she was fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's tough to pick.
It was like the men not doing good in those movies.
Like the stereotypical genres that you would think you would find the worst acting performances in, were fine. They were serviceable for the most part.
Or even Freddy's Dead.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah, you have Lisa Zane and.
I thought that was fine.
And
or even Millions. I'm thinking of like all the women in all these movies that we really didn't like, and all the women did fine.
Right.
Or they're good. They're good actresses. It was just like
better than others.
It was just like watching Sean Young, and I was like second guessing myself. I was like, wait, is she good or
right?
Is she a good actress or is she bad?
Yeah, I think she just probably was not given proper direction in this. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which leads into our next category, Best Director. We've seen a lot of major directors' films this year. So I just want to name off a few. We got Terry Gilliam, Martin Scorsese, Mike Nichols, Joel Coen, Jim Jarmusch, Elaine Corneo, Alfonso Cuarón, Lars von Trier. A lot of like major name directors, and we haven't even gotten to all of them on this podcast. So out of those, or even beyond that, who was your best director?
I did Joel Coen from Barton Fink.
All right.
I was thinking either that or like Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Oh yeah.
For Delicatessen.
Yeah.
Or because I mean, is that like Mark? Is that because it's Marc Caro and Jean-Pierre?
Yeah, they share directing duties on this one.
That's where I was like, I don't know who to pick. I picked Joel Coen for Barton Fink mainly because that's another movie that I've always wanted to see it, and I didn't see it until like almost a year ago, and then I'm sad I didn't watch it like 30 years ago because I probably would have been like super obsessed with it.
And now you have.
Yeah.
And you're super obsessed with it.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I'll also add Julie Dash as part of the short list. And I went with Terry Gilliam, though, for Fisher King.
Mm.
And I know that his directing style is very similar to what he's done in the past with, like, Brazil, especially, and, you know, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas after this. But it just fits perfectly. He picks the projects that fit his visual style with, like, the wide angles and the fish eyes and just the intricate details and the canted angles and, you know, the straightforward talking to the camera at times and all this kind of other stuff. Just everything worked to make one of the most fascinating, visually appealing movies of the year. So, that's my pick. Now, we have 3 categories left, and we're actually going to start with Best Movie of the Year.
Okay, yes.
Which is atypical of most award shows, but here we go. We're saying, what is the best movie of the year? Should I go first?
I mean, we probably picked the same.
Probably. It's only yesterday.
Yeah, because that's my first 5, but it's also my number 1 out of...
your top ranked 5.
My top ranked 5.
Yeah.
And out of the 50 that we've seen.
Yeah, I wrote down what my top 5 movies have been in terms of ranking, and Europa is there at number 5, Night on Earth, Daughters of the Dust, Fisher King, and Only Yesterday is my number 1. And I'll say that, like, just because something is the top ranked doesn't necessarily mean it's like the best or most favorite.
Mm-hmm.
At least in terms of how I rank movies, it's about technical prowess as in conjunction with emotionality and you know whatnot. So
yeah, I think
Europa is number 5 in terms of best produced movie, but it's not my 5th most favorite that we've watched, for instance.
Yeah.
But Only Yesterday is number 1 in both.
International and best movie.
Yeah, and also just favorite and top ranked. So that's why I was kind of wondering if I should choose it for best international, because I knew I was going to pick it for best movie, and I didn't know if I wanted to kind of separate that out a bit.
I mean,
but
there's
it is
like,
international, so how can I not?
Yeah, that's kind of like now or at the Oscars, they're like with Parasite.
Yeah, if Parasite is listed as the Best Picture nominee and also Best International Feature, you know it's going to win Best International.
Yeah, but it could win Best Movie and Best International.
Right.
Which it did.
Which is the first time it happened, I think, in the Oscars history. So the same thing happened with my awards here. So On the other side of the coin, we gotta talk about the worst movie of the year. And again, same type of thing. Just because it's the lowest ranked doesn't necessarily mean it's the worst movie.
Yeah, the lowest ranked movie for me.
I think we're both in agreement again.
Maybe.
Kiss Before Dying for me.
It's Terror Within 2.
Oh, okay. I forgot that you ranked that a little bit lower than mine.
Yeah.
That's not even on my bottom 5.
I mean, I mean, it's. I think everything is just like so absurd in that movie, and then it just took the same plot as the first one, and then people made the same mistakes in the first movie and the second one. Yeah. And then the monsters in the second one were worse than the monsters in the first one.
And like the visual effects were worse in the first one.
The killings were bad. Like everything. That's
it made no sense.
I would watch, and then the killings in Kiss Before Dying are obviously better than the deaths in Terror Within 2. That's why Kiss Before Dying is just above.
Slightly above. Okay. Well, I'll say the other parts of my bottom 5. So Kiss Before Dying is the worst for me. Talent for the Game is number 2. Bare Essentials, number 3. Impromptu, number 4. I really hated Impromptu for what it was.
It was fine.
Rock and Roll High School Forever is one of those cases where it's the 5th worst movie in terms of rankings, but it's one that I would watch again. Mm-hmm. It's one that I would enjoy. It just was not well made. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. That's what that is. And now we're on to the final category of the night. The most 90s movie. It's original to this award show. The movie that best epitomizes 1991, the culture, the time period, all that kind of good stuff. What would you consider to be your most 90s movie that we've watched so far?
I picked Cool as Ice.
It is definitely Cool as Ice.
I mean, just all the sayings, like drop that zero, get with the hero.
Yeah, you got
I'm
the
gonna
slang.
go across the street, schling my schlong. Or I don't know, just
you got the fashion.
Yeah, the clothes, the hair,
the music,
like the videos,
the filmmaking visual style. Yeah, it's like the music video.
It was very much like music video ish.
Yeah, quick editing, short attention span type of thing that's going on, and trying to be visually dynamic. Yeah, if you wanted to show somebody this is what 1991 was like. Show them Cool as Ice.
Yeah.
I had like Suburban Commando and like Rock and Roll High School and Don't Tell Mom, and New Jack City is part of those options, but Cool as Ice just blows them out of the water. There's really no contest.
Yeah, there's nothing else like
there's nothing else like it.
Yeah, I mean, someone defined the 90s or early 90s, and this is it. I mean, Rock and Roll High School is kind of like just even taking stuff from like the 70s or even like the 50s.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit outdated, but they do have some of that quirkiness in terms of like camera positions and the angles and just the non sequitur scenes and some of that stuff is in there too. And also the music is trying to be 90s, but I think you have more of like the R&B side. I mean,
don't tell Mom the Babysitter is Dead. Too, just like with the fashion. But
yeah, the fashion and like what it's kind of like to be a kid in that time period as well, without parents around. So you get to see the stores and when they're like bouncing around on the bouncy balls.
I mean, we can also. I mean, this is another like recent
opportunities we didn't even talk about at all.
Yeah, this is another recent thing is career opportunities, but.
That's, if you want to see how a Target looks in 1991, you don't get to see anything else besides it.
I mean, the fashion, it was mostly what Jennifer Connelly was wearing, but you can wear that now. I don't know, but some of the clothes that in Vanilla and like Cool as Ice, I guess you can probably wear that now too, but it was just obviously very 90s.
Yes. It was not shying away from it. It was not trying to be of its time. Even just the concept of having Vanilla Ice, who was a 1990 rap superstar, and giving him his own movie. Just that whole idea of like the product placement, for lack of a better word, is also 1991 in a sense. So, because you had a whole bunch of musical artists and personalities getting their own like TV shows, cartoon shows, and movies around this time as well. So, Cool as Ice is your most 90s movie of 1991. But thank you very much for indulging in our first award show, our year in review, our best of 1991 2021 edition. So as for the podcast, you can listen to us on all of your major podcasting platforms. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. It does help us out a lot. You can email us at 1991movierewind@gmail.com. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Letterboxd. Just search 1991 Movie Rewind, or go to 1991movierewind.com for the full list of movies, along with show notes and more. Next week, we're back to our regularly scheduled program. We're starting off year 2 with House Party 2. That's available on HBO Max, VHS, and DVD. We will see you then.
Thanks.